Hello, and you are back in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. This is our 42nd episode, and today we'll be discussing that Hogwarts Legacy proves how ineffective cancel culture can be, the banhammer is slamming down, and how you feel doesn't matter. So we're going to get right into the first topic, and that's Hogwarts Legacy. Came out last year, I believe about a year ago at this point, and it was referred to by a small section of the internet as that wizard game. Very minute as it turned out because it sold over 20 million copies. Best selling game of 2023. And I've played a decent bit of it. I need to play some more. I've got a backlog a mile long. If you know anything about my gaming habits and what I've written about on the Substack, you would know that, but I've got a backlog a mile long. Hogwarts Legacy is included in that. But what I've played of Hogwarts Legacy is it's a pretty solid RPG. It does, being a decent Harry Potter game correctly in my mind. You're not playing as Harry Potter, you play as a wizard or witch that you make, and you play through basically the wizarding world as it takes place in the late 19th century, I would say. And for doing that, it's interesting. You get to use spells. You can fly on a broom. I think you can even get a Griffith or whatever the hell it's called, and fly on that. But you can fly around. It's a nice open world. You can explore Hogwarts. You go to classes and all these sorts of things, and make potions and all these sorts of things. So it's a very fun game in that sense, and especially if you're a big fan of Harry Potter, you're going to basically love that game. If you love playing RPGs and you love Harry Potter, it's a match made in heaven for you. And of Harry Potter games, I think it's the best one that we've gotten, because the only Harry Potter games that I really know of are basically some really crappy ones that came out on the 360 that covered Deathly Hallows, and those were like dog shit games. So it's probably back in the era as it was winding down, when they still did licensed games, and they treated the licensed games as like doing like a poster or lunchbox rather than something to the degree of a movie or the book or whatever you have in terms of media, as like something that can stand alone as its own piece of media rather than just being merchandise that's sold along the bigger things. That's how video games were for a little while, but now with gaming being as big as it is, gaming being as able to convey stories to people, games are treated in the sense of being their own legitimate media properties in a lot of ways. That's all coming up in some ways, but that's basically how it is. It's how it honestly ought to be. But with the whole thing is that this game sold 20 million copies, and you had over 20 million copies, and you had such a mental meltdown from the trans activist community of this game not having to be doing anything, because J.K. Rowling basically came out and said something along the lines of women don't have penises, and it's very consequential to human society to act as if women do have penises. Basically not being full in support of the trans stuff, getting labeled as a TERF, and because of committing that cardinal sin of saying that men and women are different on a biological basis, and we should structure society around that, or we should keep structuring society around that, not restructure society based on the whims of how you feel that day. She got canceled, or attempted to get canceled, and it failed hilariously. Harry Potter is still a massive media property, and Hogwarts Legacy proves that, selling over, again, 20 million copies. People love Harry Potter. People love what she did with the wizarding world and all the associated stuff with it. People are still very invested in that, and it still sells because the average person doesn't really care about transgenderism and doesn't really see it as something that's meaningful. It's something that most people will play along with because the legacy institutions, corporate America, the government, all these institutions push it onto people, and people just smile and nod because they don't want to be fodder for the cancel pigs. That's really it. But if you stand up and say, hey, I don't care that you're trying to not get me to play a video game because of someone's opinion or something, I'm going to go and play it anyway, they lose all power. And you extend that to all aspects of cancel culture. It's saying like, well, I don't care that this person said this, I'm still going to buy from them, I'm still going to keep them as my employee, I'm still going to engage with that business just because their social media person put out a tweet that two people on Twitter disagree with, it loses all power. It loses all meaning to be able to cancel somebody if the people who would go and be the mob just say, hey, we're not going to dogpile on these people because you made a determination that they're supposed to be verboten. And Hogwarts, again, I'll say this, Hogwarts Legacy proves that there are people who will do that. Who will say, well, hey, I want to play the wizard game. I want to make my own, character and play in the Harry Potter or the wizarding world because that's just how I want to spend my weekend. And I don't care if, some, twink who thinks he's a woman is going to protest and say otherwise. It doesn't meaningfully matter. And let me clear my throat, sorry, but I think that's all I've really said about that. We're going to move on to the next topic. Thank you for bearing with me. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're watching. I appreciate it so much to all of you who engage with this podcast. And we're moving on to the next topic, and that is the banhammer slamming down. We are heading into election season. The Iowa caucus and New Hampshire primary are right around the corner, and you know what that means. Banning. So if you have any political opinion that goes even slightly against the grain of what the WEF UN overlords want you to be pushing onto people, you're going to get banned, either like explicitly banned or shadow banned. So we saw Andrew Torba, founder of Gab, get banned from Gemini. There was another YouTuber who was posting on X how I think Shane Richie or whatever his name was saying he got banned from YouTube, and you're going to see more and more of this stuff. So I implore you, if you have anybody that you care about whose content you consume and you're subscribed to them on YouTube or Facebook, or you're still on one of these big social media sites that's liable, basically going to engage in this mass banning stuff, follow them on alternate platforms. Most people who know what's up are posting on alternate platforms, posting on the parallel economy. You can listen to this podcast on Rumble, Substack, and Odyssey, as well as YouTube, and more people engage with my podcast on all the other platforms, and basically YouTube the least. But that's how it is for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't get shadow banned on the other platforms. They get shadow banned to hell on the mainstream platforms because they are pushing a narrative onto people, and they're going to do anything they can to maintain their grip in the information war. Is basically what it is. Not to steal some of Alex Jones's thunder, but it is an information war that we are stuck in because we're in the information era, and information is the weaponry. That's what we're fighting over. What information gets out there, what information is actually the truth, or what's perceived to be the truth, is even more important in a lot of ways. So that's something that I want you all to be very aware of. And like I said, if you have anyone that you care about, anybody whose content you enjoy, make sure you are following them on alternate platforms, because there is a good chance that they're going to get banned, especially if they are really outspoken about being against the quote-unquote current thing, which if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably of that persuasion. You're definitely not one of these people who will just be a mindless NPC consumer and just listen to whatever CNN and NBC tell you to. And if you are, I would suggest you change your thinking a little bit, or not. I'm not the arbiter of your mind. I'm just some random joker. And with that, we are going to move on to the last topic, which is how you feel doesn't matter. This isn't really a news event. This is just a little bit of stream of consciousness. And as I have focused on health and wellness, it's not just a physical thing of lifting weights and getting your nutrition on point and make sure you're sleeping well. It's also mindfulness. And one of the things with mindfulness that I've realized is that your feelings day to day are meaningless. And this is what I mean by that, is that if you feel like shit, if you feel awful about doing something, but doing that thing will make you feel good about yourself. Let's say you love being a night owl and you love staying up to like 3 o'clock in the morning every night, but you force yourself to go to bed at 8 p.m. and you get a full night's sleep and you do that consistently, you're going to improve your health even though you feel awful. Better example is, let's say you're a chronic smoker, right? And it takes you 3 days to quit smoking to the point where you will get over that hump and you want to die. You wish you regretted this. You want to get an entire carton of cigarettes and chain smoke it for every second of every day that you're awake for those 3 days. But after those 3 days, you feel, at peace. You're able to quit. You live your rest of your life never touching another cigarette or tobacco product, and you add 20 years onto your life, and you don't die of lung cancer. How you felt in those 3 days did not matter with the end result. And that's really what you need to get yourself out of, is that your feelings day to day, moment to moment, are meaningless. It's setting the goal for yourself and working to achieve it and working through the feelings that you have. I got some bad news today. I got in a car accident recently and my car is totaled. So I'm going to have to get a new car. This is a very stressful time in my life, and I could have shut down and not recorded this podcast, but I'm recording this podcast now because I have a podcasting schedule that I committed to, that I want to see through. And when I upload that podcast and I get people downloading it and enjoying it, hopefully, how I felt in the moment of not wanting to record it didn't matter when I just said I'm going to sit down and record it because I had planned it out. And that's really what you need to do with your life, is you need to plan and structure your life in a way where the goals that you set for yourself just happen organically, happen naturally. Like I have the podcast planned, what I was going to talk about before I got this news. I have all my daily poll topics planned out, usually a week in advance, and I'll sometimes put other things if there's current events, so that way the daily poll is easy for me to do. And it's the same thing if you want to go to the gym, have it ready the night before, your gym clothes, your things that you need to go to the gym, so that way there's less friction in order to do it. So you create friction for the things you want to do, and you put friction for the things that you don't want to do, and you execute and you follow through on those things. And how you feel in the moment to moment doesn't matter. The feelings of doubt and awful bad feelings that you have telling you to not do something or to do something that's bad for you, you ignore those feelings, you push through them, then they don't matter, because then you get to achieve the goal. Like I said, how you feel doesn't matter. It's what you do that matters, and the goals that you set for yourself are much more important. And much more important than setting goals is actually executing on the goals that you set. And that's where the real challenge lies. But like I said, you get out of your own head a bit. You can get out your own way. And when you get out of your own way, it's amazing what you can do. I think I have rambled on quite enough with that. I hope that made some sense to you. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll be back next week with episode 43. And we're heading into the outro now. Thank you for being in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, whether you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or Substack. And be sure to subscribe to my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com, to keep up with Machine to Man and all my other projects.